they might have been stopped and frisked. They might have been called a nigga by then. They have been probably targeted. They are understanding what it's like to kind of be a little poor, right? Like they're understanding money a little better. But when you're a kid, you're an idealist. And I think the people who can continue to walk through life and be an idealist end up being Republicans. What up, what up, what up, what up? It's Three Brothers No Sense, your favorite barbershop style podcast. I'm Tavares Ferguson, a.k.a. Ferg, joined my co-host, Buff and Rozzy. Fellas, what it do?
What up, y'all? Couple things. Little Meech, a.k.a. Big Meech on BMF is a superhero. I just want to say that they have gone full Fast and the Furious. He got the glow. Like on The Last Dragon, it was wild. He all of a sudden decided he wanted to be a ninja, and he was sneaking around in the lobby of some hotel in Miami and just popped out of nowhere and kneed the guy in the chest. And it was wild, man. Dodged 5 bullets, jumped through a window pane. Last week's episode. So jumped through a window, jumped in the car and sped off. It's crazy.
So
what, Ferg?
No spoiler alert, right?
That has nothing to do with the plot. It's literally one scene in the whole. It has nothing. It really has nothing to do with the plot. It's just they've jumped the shark. Is all I'm saying. They really have jumped the shark on this show. It is crazy. And so I just had to throw that out there because I was watching it oh my God, this is so bad. So 50 Cent, I don't know if you meant to go all the way Fast and the Furious with this show versus shout out to Power Book 3. Kanan got renewed for season 5. But when it comes down to BMF, it is getting super duper wild, man. I think Meech is into his, cocaine usage days or whatever. His memory of that time is super over exaggerated because this is it's getting way too wild. But entertaining all the same. So want to throw that out there. Other couple things want to throw out there. Business related. Express has filed for bankruptcy. They're closing 1,000 stores. So Ferg, I know you talked about you like to get your suits from Express. You better go get them now or whatever. So
I'm gonna give them another month or two so they can go on sale.
Go on sale. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
fire sale.
Yeah, so listeners, if you guys like Express clothes, check them out. I'm pretty sure they're going to be, I don't know which ones are closing yet, but knowing a lot of our listeners are in Mobile, knowing Mobile, Express in Mobile might be one of them. Just going to throw that out there. So with that, check out for the clearance. You might get some good deals on that. Samsung has officially overtaken Apple. Buff, you're one of the iPhone users of the group, or not non-iPhone users, so the Samsung users of the group. So shout out to you, but I think it makes sense, right? Apple caters to trying to stay niche, and Samsung wants broad audience adoption, that type of thing. So it made sense, and I will admit I use the iPhone. Samsung makes a better phone, and most iPhone users don't dispute that. So when people talk about how iPhone users are snotty, this, that, and other. I don't think iPhone users are they have a better phone. What they have is a better operating system. And that 100% is what it is. So most people that like iPhones like the operating system, not necessarily the phone as much. And if you're a Samsung user, hopefully you can admit that Apple does have the better operating system. But if that's not something you really, really care about, the ecosystem, all that stuff, then the Samsung makes perfect sense to use. So want to throw that out there, make it know that, it's okay there. And finally, the FTC has passed a rule to ban non-competes. Yeah. And for folks who don't know what that means, there are a lot of people that are under non-competes where you can't leave your job and go to another organization that does the same thing. A lot of salespeople, Ferg, in your industry, I'm sure you probably had to have a non-compete. You can't go to certain different companies and just jump on and sell. Nurses, folks in healthcare. There's a lot of people that have non-competes that this is going to make a big deal for, as far as being able to leave their companies and move to a better job. So another thing that, people talk about Biden, blah, 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 blah. It's just that he's not business friendly as much, or Democrats aren't as business friendly as Republicans. This is another thing that the Republicans probably can hit him on, or hit the Democrats on in the elections. But ultimately, what it comes down to, it helps individuals, man. And so people really
that's going to be very interesting. There's going to have to be some kind of guidelines around that, because being in sales, and especially if you stay in the same industry and you go to a direct competitor, that's going to be because the goal is the easiest way to get new business is to take the business. So if I work for a company,
you buy the rep, right? Yeah.
And so there's going to have to be something around that, because the non-competes now aren't necessarily, they're more so saying, hey, you can't go work for you can't work for a competitor. And if you do, you can't work in the same territory, or you can't sell a product that is in direct competition with our product, because business is going to be all over. And I think it's going to be very interesting. So we shall see.
Companies need to do a better job of keeping their workers happy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I would even say it won't even be that. Like, if somebody said, okay, I know that I run one of the largest territories in our company and on our healthcare side. If I can go just offer him $50,000 more, give him similar benefits and everything like that, similar territory, then the next company offers me another $40,000. Like, it's at a certain point, it's going to be just a money grab, and and they show, I don't know.
That does it hurt you as an individual employee? Like, that's what you want.
Was that all you got, Rosie?
Last thing is Apple Vision Pro has cut their estimates and their production, because nobody wants a $3,500 Oculus. Ultimately, is what it is. Let's just be honest about it. So Apple really overestimated the demand for that, and what a augmented reality goggle could do for people. I mean, people are looking at it like, yeah, it's fun, right? Just like the Oculus or the Quest or whatever they're calling it now. It's fun, but I'm not going to use $3,500 worth. So unless I just have $3,500 to blow, I'm not buying that. And so they had to cut production estimates, and they cut development of it. And so I don't know what that's going to do. Are they going to come out with a cheaper version so that they can get the cost down? Are they going to get out altogether? I don't know. But either way, it's just been a whole lot of business things happening over the last couple of weeks. And so wanted to make sure I got all of them out. But I think that's it, man.
You didn't buy one, did you?
I did not. I was close. But again, when I looked at the what it does, I'm not gonna put on an Oculus or put on a goggle set to do my day-to-day stuff. And that's the kind of cool thing about it, right? Like, it looks cool to be able to have a screen, like a work screen or like a monitor, and be able to look at, I'm just gonna put that on my wall instead of looking at the monitor, right? But I'm not gonna walk around with this goggle set on to be able to do that throughout the day. So it's too bulky, it's too big. It doesn't really make sense, other than what people kind of use the MetaQuest for, which is, I've got Beat Saber and the little boxing thing and all of that. I think you're starting to even hear, like, people are moving away from this whole meta thing and the metaverse and all of that. I mean, it was a buzzword for a long time, and I think people are starting to really move away from that even. I really do think it was a flash in the pan, and I think that's what's happening with this goggle set, is that it's not as cool as people think. Augmented reality is actually really cool for certain applications, certain things. I can see schools, right, saying, hey, we got a set, and you can look at a 3D model of a person, and you can, like, go in deeper and look at the body parts and all that stuff. Like, there's something to be said about that. 3D renderings for architects and stuff, and be able to look at and move around a building So there's things that you can do for it, but that's not the mass media or the mass population. And so they're going to have to figure out their niche if they want to really kind of get some money out of this for schools and those types of things and be able to use them there. But again, most schools can't afford $3,500.
Apple users are absolutely snobby, by the way. I remember we posted a post of ridiculous things people say, and one of them was like, a chick said it's a red flag if a guy has a Droid phone, she will absolutely stop talking to him. And posted is like, oh man, look how ridiculous this is. And some of our users was like, well, I wouldn't automatically stop talking to him, but it is a red flag. What? Like that's how. So I'm not anti-Apple. I just marvel at the hold that they have on their consumers. But I want to talk about the young girl that was raised in South Dallas, Sha'Carri Richardson. I just want to give her a shout out because I know we others have been critical of her a few years ago. Some of it rightfully so, but she definitely was going through something at the time and disqualified herself from competing in the Olympics. But it looks like things are just on the upswing for her. She's finishing first or like very, very close second in a lot of her races now. And I'm just proud of the endorsements she has now with Nike, with Beats, with Android. She has an Android endorsement as well. And just being an athlete from LSU, it seems like it's a good time to be an athlete from LSU. When you look at Angel Reese, you look at the second quarterback drafted in the NFL from LSU. By the way, 3 black quarterbacks drafted in the first 10 picks of the NFL. I thought that was dope. So I just want to give her flowers, and I hope she has a successful Summer Olympics. She's only 24, so there's a good chance we can see her for at least 3 more Olympics up to when she turns 32 or whatever. So I'm just wishing her the best. We've mentioned our friend Melvin, a.k.a. Hooli, who has a podcast, Truth Be Told Sports. He, like my 2 co-hosts, experienced a loss. You know, we're no stranger to experiencing losses over the years of doing this show, but he just lost his father. So I just want to send a quick word of comfort and shout out to Melvin and Marquise, our other homie as well. And just anything y'all need, let us know. I know what it's like. Rozzy know what it's like. Ferg has an idea of what it's like. So, look, Ferg knows what it's like. Mm-hmm. Man, we didn't have so many losses.
Can't keep up.
Yeah. Sheesh. Yeah, so we all know what it's like, man. So definitely don't hesitate to reach out. We got the constant text thread going. But even if you want to step outside of that thread and hit one of us up, please do. And last but not least, man, Ferg and I have kind of jokingly, in a way, mentioned Pornhub without mentioning Pornhub on the show in the past. But I just want to let listeners know they have a new owner. Pornhub has a new owner in Solomon Friedman, and he is a lawyer and a certified rabbi. So his goal is he's going to try to clean it up and get rid of a lot of the child trafficking and rape that has been reported on the website in the past. And he wants to change. I know some of the states, I know my state, Virginia, I believe Texas has done the same, where Pornhub is not even accessible in those states and several others because they didn't agree to the whole ID verification thing. So he's going to work on that and try to change that. But his goal is to clean it up and make it where it's only, consensual sex on there, no kids on there, which is a good thing, especially if you like your porn. So I feel like that's important news.
He's trying to make good, wholesome porn.
Yeah.
Halal porn.
Porn you can bring home, and not feel ashamed. Porn you can be proud of.
Right. There is porn you should be ashamed of.
No. We're not gonna shame people, bruh.
See, that is why people don't want to do the ID thing.
That's right the problem, there, right? That's the problem with you, man. That's the problem with people now, man. People should be able to watch what they want to watch, I guess. I don't know.
That's all I got, man. That's all I got.
Well, Byron, you talked about the NFL, but first I'm going to stop and say, yes, I definitely was going to save that to the end about Melvin Marquise and my cousins Rashawn. They lost their dad this past week, so definitely know how you feel. But our heart goes out to you. Let us know, and we will do a moment of silence at the end for my uncle that we lost. But I have some stuff to talk about at the end with that as well. So, but we talked about the NFL. So, first of all, you guys watched the draft, right?
Yeah, this was Dallas's big moment to try
let's. Well, first of all, I mean that's irrelevant.
Try to woo you one last time.
It's irrelevant. I will say what Dallas did do. They did get better at finding ways to piss people off. They got decimated in the playoffs. I've never seen people track an off season, but Dallas lost the off season, and then they lost the draft. Like, how do you lose a draft? Like, they had one of the worst three. Every time I looked at something, they had one of the worst three draft grades. The person I saw that was close to them consistent might have been Cleveland. Like, it's consistent that the Cowboys lost the draft. So, hey, it is what it is. I remember Byron saying this one time to Tab years ago. If we break up, we don't work out, I hope nothing but bad shit happens to you. I think that's what Dallas is going through right now. Nothing but bad stuff. But with my luck, this is the year they'll go win, right? This is the year, they'll go do some stuff with this. I have no idea where they were going. I have no idea. It's almost like watching a train wreck at this point for me. It's like I have no skin in the game. I was like, did I really? Yep, I made the right decision. Yeah, this is what's going on. So mine is very football driven today. So one thing is, how did you guys feel about Reggie Bush supposedly getting his Heisman back?
Very, very happy about that.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Is it the fact that he got the trophy back? Is it the fact that, because we all, I feel like it's one of those things where we always still recognize him as winning the Heisman, right? It's like not
right.
It's not like he cheated to win it. It was not.
It's not just that he got the trophy back, but he's going to be recognized by the committee,
okay,
the Heisman committee.
Okay, and that's more so because of NIL and just saying, "Hey, yeah, we were tripping," or
probably. I think also they probably got embarrassed by that Johnny Manziel documentary.
Yeah,
where once again, that's where journalism failed, because this guy was getting all this unaccounted for money. And they just simply told the media, "Oh, my family's rich," and nobody thought to say, "Hey, let's investigate that." They just took his word for it, and so yeah, I think they got embarrassed by that a little bit too, man.
Yeah.
So instead of getting right with Johnny, there's like, we're not going to admit that we did wrong to the white man. We got it wrong with the white man. We're just going to give the black man a little reparations. So that's when I heard it, I was like, this is just reparations. Nothing but reparations. And also somebody who's looked at CTE several times, and just part of the reason I, didn't want my son playing football or any major contact sports is because CTE and the dangers behind that. So the latest development in the NFL, one of the latest developments in the NFL is they're allowing players to wear the Guardian cap during games. Which I think is going to supposedly cut down drastically on the amount of head injuries, concussions, and things leading to CTE. And once again, where Americans want politics, even runs into something like football. It runs into, I'm not even say politics. There's a conservative nature about sports. We always want things to stay the same, to the point where, it was some of the comments were just downright degrading. They need to just paint the paint the helmets pink, and before they play, they need to get a prescription to get the sand out of there. It's like these people want to live a healthy life. There was one guy I had concussions all the time in high school, not a big deal. They just need to pay them less if they want to stay safe. What? So the NFL got it right on this, and they're going to paint the helmets. They're not going to look that much different. And at the end of the day, if you're so pissed off, don't watch. People can't kneel. They can't protect themselves. I don't know what they want. So modern day slavery. But with that being said, Rozzy, is Sophia available?
She is not. She is in Gadsden with one of her homegirls. They be taking trips and stuff now. They be just on the move. So yeah,
she got flued
she
out.
went down there. They drove. She's always gonna say it. We drove. So it's only 45 minutes away. It's not super far. But so you got me today. But I think I got a pretty good one. When does a joke become a dad joke? When it becomes a parent. Huh? That's not a bad one, man. It's pretty good.
It wasn't too bad.
You can't see my face today, but I was not smiling, for the record.
Well, he's had worse though. So
he has had worse.
He's always got that.
Dad joke, a parent. I mean,
no, we get it.
We got it.
We
definitely got it. We got it.
Yep.
If there was any doubt that we got it, we got it.
Oh man, who was first?
I took the whole session last time. So
Buff, let's go ahead and jump in, Buff.
All right, sorry, Woo. We're gonna do a little politics right now, bro. I'm gonna stop messing with Woo about that. By the way, Woo and Hess, damn near courtside seats at the playoff game.
Right,
flex. Mm-hmm. By the way,
super
flex.
Super
big flex.
Yeah, but so we talk a lot about MAGA Republicans, and this question, man, I'm gonna give you guys a multiple choice. You can answer one of them or all three of them. And I want to ask you guys, since we always talk about what a MAGA Republican is, what in the world is a regular Republican? So you can answer what is a regular Republican, who is an example of a current regular Republican, and you can answer, will that old Republican Party ever return, or is this the new norm for the GOP?
Oof, that's a hard one because the Republican Party is a big tent of, I don't want to say, it's nasty. It's a big tent of poo. So, and not to sound so condescending about it, but they have taken the worst elements that you can think of and put a platform around it, right? It's like conservatism. I talk about, conservatism equals racism and it equals sexism and anti-LGBTQ. Conservatism really does mean I want to serve the white power structure. Ultimately, that's what they're trying to do. So they took that and they said, how can I build on top of that? Okay, I'm going to take away reproductive rights from women. All right, boom, I'm going to throw that on there. I want to not celebrate our differences. And by doing that, I'm going to say that anybody who wants to celebrate our differences, you are being anti-white or, you're trying to go against me. And so then we're going to throw that on top. Then we're going to talk about business and economics and screw the little person. It's all about the stakeholder, it's all about the shareholder, not the stakeholder. Right. So many people go into building a company, building a economy, building what we do day to day, infrastructure and things like that. Republicans took all of that and said, you know what? Screw all of that. It's all about the bottom line and how do I get the shareholder the most return. Right. So their entire platform is built around exclusion of the fringes. And then they take and say, okay, now we're going to take our white evangelicals, and ultimately, kind of like this country thing that we're seeing with Beyonce, really ultimately it just means that how do we protect whiteness in it? Point blank period. We really don't care about the Christian piece of it. So when you talk about what a regular Republican is, it's that, right? It's the person that says, I want generally all of that stuff, but I don't want to seem racist and sexist and classist and all of that stuff. That's your regular Republican. Is they want to seem like the great America of old and peach, apple pie and all of that, rainbows, but ultimately there's this thing about trying to keep everybody else down so that they can maintain their white power structure. The older Republican, I would say what's happened is people want to be the John McCain, and you talk about what a regular Republican is. I think John McCain is a really good example of that, where he was like, no, I'm conservative. No, I think these things and a lot of that stuff that I talk about there, but I really do in my heart of hearts care about the people. I just think that these policies actually help people. Don't know how, right? But ultimately he believed it in his heart, and he really was trying to work for the betterment of society, right? So I think that's probably my go-to current era, and he has passed away. I don't have a Republican that I can point to today and be like, that's it. That's the person that I think would be a regular Republican. So with that, the issue comes, the regular Republican that you're looking at is maybe your Mitch McConnell's, right? Or your, I hate to say it's that fringe element, Marjorie Taylor Greenes and things like that. They're the loudest ones, but they are the fringe. So, who was it that ran for president that lost? Mitt Romney. So maybe that's another one that maybe you could look at and say, okay, that's a mainstream regular Republican is a Mitt Romney, right? I can see that. The ones that the regular Republicans are the Republicans that I would want to see, that old school Republican that just, they did have differences of opinions, but ultimately wanted to see, willing to work across the aisle, willing to really get things to make America great or keep America great or whatever you want to call it. Those folks are few and far between now, ultimately. So, but I would say the folks that are at least coming out now and going against Trump are probably the most regular Republicans that you can see as a politician. Now, when you get down to like just regular people, I think that's totally different, because when you talk about just regular folks that say, hey, I am a Republican, I really do feel like they're folks that they're single issue voters and they're like, oh, I'm really voting for Republicans for this and maybe not that and everything. And they do feel like those business first ideas that or platforms that Republicans have really do help grow the economy. I disagree, but they really feel that in their hearts. And again, they don't feel this animus against anybody else. They don't feel like they're black people are bad or anything like that. They have black friends, but they're just Republican. And I think that's your normal Republican outside of politics, just that are voting Republican. But I really think it's a lot of times those folks really are not very well informed about the second, third, or fourth order effects, or it just hadn't hit them, right? They don't have a gay child or something like that. So LGBTQ rights don't matter to them, right? They may hang with black people, but they don't hang with black people. They don't understand a black person. They don't have a black friend that's really going to tell them, no, that's racist. Like, that black friend's probably going to just kind of laugh it off. Because I have plenty of friends that are Republicans that when they say some crazy crap, I'm just like, I'm not even going to go there with them because I don't want to mess up that friendship. And the issue, I think, is that friendship's not strong enough for me to really go in at them and have that conversation with them. So that's why I say they hang with black people, but they don't have true black friends that are going to really call them out. Like, you got to be a real friend to me for me to call you out about some of that and have that conversation with you. So I think that's what happens, that nothing that Democratic platform hasn't hit home with them yet. I said a lot. I'm sorry. It took a long time.
Well, I'm going to go the opposite way of what Razi did. I'm going to hit really quick on, I guess, the politicians, then talk more about the people. The difference in a MAGA Republican and a true Republican, I guess, it's not much difference, honestly. I think it's all about capitalizing on, it's playing politics, right? Do you think every MAGA Republican believes the shit that they spew? The answer is no. They know that this is the hot topic. This is what we need to be on. I'm going to say that our leaders are too smart to be this naive, right? Even with the thing, the problems at the border. It's such a big problem, but they're listening to Trump saying, hey, don't do anything about the border right now, because they're playing politics. Like, they're literally, this is one of our biggest talking points, one of the biggest things we want to stand up for and say, hey, we need to get border control. We need to get the border under control. But yet and still, anything dealing with the border, we're not going to accept, because we know that this is a huge talking point. So I think true Republican politicians are just playing on the traditional fears of Republicans. I think the Republican Party as a whole plays on the fears of Americans as a whole to conserve what we all knew and grew up with. I guarantee as kids, we were more conservative than we thought we were. We, through life, had to be taught that there's the gray area, that these are the things that are really going on behind the scenes. This is what it's like to be, black in America, poor in America, male in America, like underclass, all these things, that they don't teach in school. It's the Republican Party is based off the America that we want, that they think America should look like. They want to conserve all the things the ideals of America. When we talk about Judeo-Christian beliefs, this is what we were taught in church. This is right. There's no straying from it. This is what we taught, how we're taught politics was supposed to work. There's no straying from it. This is how we're taught how you're supposed to treat each other. This is the hierarchy of things. This is how it's supposed to happen. And anything that that jeopardizes that, we're going to fight. I think the abortion rights is a great example of, it sounds great to protect, life. We're pro-life. Then when you roll it out, it's like, hold on. So that's what you're really talking about? That's what this really looks like? It's I don't even think you go deep enough to understand. When somebody says, so you're telling me you don't care about life and that babies have the right to be born, you're a bad person. The average Republican conservative can argue that point because it sounds great, right? But when you go into the details of real life, the ideal versus real, then you have to see the nuances. You have to see that, hey, everybody probably has the right. The people have the right to make that decision. We can't govern America by a small set of ideals. We protect people, but we can't govern people by a small set of ideals that we were taught years ago that were right. Every so many years, we find out the things that we've been beating our chest for were wrong. I mean, I know, going back to slavery, everything because of slavery. I mean, the government was defending that slavery was almost like a right. Right? Now, once again, that was the Democrats back in the day. But it's like, it was a right. And every once in a while you have to realize, like, that's not right. We have to change the way we think about things. That, you know, we thought there was a thought that black people were inferior. I don't think the average Republican thinks black people are inferior. I think they think they're different because we were taught they were different. And you stay in your little small circle and you never really go outside of that circle. And then, you know, luckily we live in this great media age where the news and everybody can spin stories and create narratives that they want to, and it further ingratiates the thoughts that they were taught. Yeah. So like, hey, black people are dangerous. Look at all this dangerous shit going on. Like, it's black people go to jail. Look at all these black people in jail. They don't talk about the arrest rate and stop, you know, the rates that people are being stopped. We talk about being, you know, they're the party of law and order, but their fearless leader is in court right now, completely disrespecting the judicial system. You know, it's ideal politics, but they don't want to recognize it. And I think a true Republican will sit back and say, okay, that's not how we operate. You got to trust the justice system. Then you have MAGA politicians that want to say this is a political witch hunt because it sounds good. Because now you can poke holes on any truth. It's just a witch hunt. It's just a witch hunt, you know? Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I think the average Republican is just, it's conservatives. And I think, believe it or not, if you had a kid, if kids could vote, Republicans will win every election. It is an ideal mindset that most kids can relate to. And we don't challenge anything outside of our norm. We don't challenge anything outside of what we taught. And as you get older, you just keep building and learning how to tell that same story better and better. If you go ask our kids about pro-life versus pro-choice, I guarantee our kids will vote for pro-life. Right?
Our kids, you'd be surprised at, like, most high schools, because, you know, most high schools do a mock election or whatever, and Democrats win almost.
But that, like,
so when you say kid, older. What age group are you talking about? Because
I'm talking like the young kids. Like, I'm talking about young kids because we're taught. I remember being in elementary school and doing a mock election.
Mm-hmm. Like the Nickelodeon Kids Choice Award or Kids Choice or whatever it was.
This is probably 88. Who was that? That was Bush versus
either the caucus.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Was it the caucus?
Yeah. And not even knowing the issues, but hearing the things they said, it just sounds better. As a kid, you're an idealist. Most kids are idealists, right? You know, if you could say your little brother or sister wouldn't be here if mommy had the choice, you know, how would you feel if mommy or your daddy killed your brother or sister before they had a chance to be born? They're going to say no. You know, all the things that the Republic, you know, you probably were going to vacation Bible school. You were very much into the church. As you get older and you start veering out and you start exploring and you become those teenagers that you're letting vote, they might have been stopped and frisked. They might have been called a nigga by then. You know, they have been probably targeted. They are understanding what it's like to kind of be a little poor, right? Like, they're understanding money a little better. But when you're a kid, you're an idealist. And I think the people who can continue to walk through life and be an idealist end up being Republicans, or they just, you know, I don't know. I'm sorry.
In politics, it's often said that progressives are the gas pedal and conservatives are the brake pedal. And I think that is what regular, as the question is posed, a regular Republican is. And it's like, so to break it down in non-political terms, we always talk about rap and how this new rap isn't what we really rock with. So in that type of conversation, we are the conservatives. We are the ones that are longing for when you can understand what rappers actually said, when some songs had an actual message in it and everything was when all that. So we would be the conservatives in that conversation. That's what Republicans are. They want things to stay. They want things to go back to how they were, and they want things to stay how they are in a lot of segments. Some examples of who I can't think of any names that like everyone would know. Rozzy mentioned Mitt Romney. I guess he could be one as a regular Republican.
Mine was, and maybe I don't know enough about him. I think Tim Scott is a regular Republican. I think he might want to be kind of MAGA, but I think he's just a regular Republican. Like, it was just, he knows he doesn't have the ability to go outside of the majority. Being a black Republican, he has to jump. He needs
to get a little revitiligo.
He has to jump on the hottest track. So
former governor of Maryland was a Republican, and Maryland is a notoriously, I shouldn't say notoriously, but it's known as a blue state. So Larry Hogan is running for Senate. I think some would consider him a regular Republican. He's spoken out against 45. Senator Murkowski from Alaska, same thing. She's been primary, like even before 45 was a thing. Certain segments of the Republican Party have tried to get her out of there. She actually lost the primary, won her general election as a write-in candidate. So I think she can be considered a regular Republican. And then also, I think Rozzy also mentioned McCain and his former presidential advisor, campaign manager, Steve Schmidt. He's on TV a lot. You know, he's spoken out against 45. It's already been documented that he was against the whole Sarah Palin pick. People like that, I think, are regular Republicans. I guess the question is Colin Powell. I guess the question is, can you be a regular Republican if you still support or co-sign 45? Like, you may not be out there with the same rhetoric, but you still support and co-sign.
Yes, because there's no other option. As you were talking, I was like, is this the beginning, or is this the closest we'll have to a three-party system? But you default to, because you can't be a Democrat. If there was a way, this is the closest thing we would have to a three parties, because I feel like MAGA is its own party. You have your straight conservatives, your real Republicans, but it's like, what we can't do is politics. We can't lose a house. We got to play this game. We got to support this guy because our only alternative is this. And so you got to believe a lie. You got to lie to yourself. You got to say he saves more than he rapes.
Yeah, because looking at the primaries, Chris Christie, Nikki Haley, I think those are probably good examples, right? Those folks that were like, they at least understand the nuance. They're conservative enough, right? But to say I'm a Republican, but they understand the nuance of what they're going in. They're willing to work across the aisle when need be, right? And get things done. They understand that their position is the opening position of a negotiation, not I'm putting my foot in the sand and we can't do anything unless it's what I want.
Yeah. Because I think most of the candidates were, I'll probably say Vivek, the idiot in Florida. I'm drawing a blank right now.
DeSantis, Vivek, DeSantis, yeah, and Trump, right? Those are probably your most right leaning.
Those are MAGA, but everybody else at the end of the day will support him. Those were regular Republicans, except for did we already say Chris Christie?
Yeah,
regular.
Yeah, but I do think the regular party will return, and I say that because we've seen people try and imitate 45, and they just, for whatever reason, the people are like, why would I settle for a fake 45 when we got the real 45? So I think once he's gone and some time has passed, and it could be wishful thinking, but I think we will come back to a more regular Republican Party. We'll see.
You think it's just him?
Yeah, I agree there. I mean, I don't think it's just him, but I do think that movement is starting to get played out a little bit and people are getting tired of it, right? You look at that with the Ukraine deal that just came out and everything. Like, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out after and was like, that's not what the people want, yada, yada, yada. Well, that's exactly what the people want. That's why the majority of that body said we need to do this package. It's because it's what the people want, right? I think when she says it's not what the people want, it's not what MAGA wants. And so, she's talking to her base and she knows who she's talking to when she says that. And she's doing her thing, her political thing, and fighting for what they want so she can get reelected because she's in an area that's predominantly MAGA. And I think that's the other part about it is there are pockets that are predominantly Republican that aren't predominantly MAGA. And then there are areas like the South in Alabama and Georgia that are predominantly MAGA. And you got the they used to be Republicans, but now they've shifted so much that now MAGA is the majority of that area. And so like when you said, Ferg, that they're a whole different party, I really feel like they are starting to slide out into their own party. But the Republicans are kind of starting to take back some of that power from them. And once they don't have that power like they had anymore, they're going to have to fall back into the Republican Party because they're going to become the Green Party and all those parties that are just third party that nobody kind of pays attention to much. They may have a little bit of a block and they'll be able to kind of push some policy here and there, but they're not going to be this powerhouse that they are today.
And that's what makes this election so. I know every election seems important, but as far as like, does MAGA continue or will we finally see the beginning of the deterioration of it? If he loses, like if the MAGA person couldn't win, will we see people willing to continue to embrace that when they'll say, okay, that lost 2 times in a row. And when it did win, it lost the popular vote and barely won the electoral. So maybe we do need to bring it back a little bit.
And so this is when I was saying, is it him? What I meant by is, can he be replicated? Like, I don't think Obama and the energy behind Obama can be replicated. Nope. You will probably not in our lifetime see Democrats get as excited about a candidate as they did for Obama. And so I think Trump is the anti-Obama. He's the you talk about it all the time. He's the backlash from Obama. And so the further we get away from that, because I think that's what created MAGA, right? If Clinton would have won, Trump probably would have never made it. Like, I don't think he would have ever just came out there. He saw the need. He capitalized on opportunity. But when I say is it just him, you can't replicate him. You can't replicate his cultural success over the last 4 or 5 decades, right? Trump was part of a popular culture. So even if you just like DeSantis, who the hell is DeSantis, right? Even DeSantis said exactly the same thing as him. We've been hearing about Trump since we were kids. Like, Trump is this name. He's this, it would have to be a Warren Buffett. It would have to be somebody like that. And even then, they weren't Trump as far as the culture goes, right? It was, so even if he wins,
because it's going to be, they may have the name, but they may not have the charisma that he has.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about, like, he's bumbling, but he has a charisma that it's that New Yorker wise guy thing that people kind of long for and like for a lot of folks. And that's what he has.
And so even with all that, if he wins this time, because he's already lost, right? He's lost in true fashion. If he wins this time, it's going to be by a narrow margin. And if he wins, it's probably going to be some kind of, there's going to be some, I don't trust this, right? There's going to be some kind of talk behind it. But it's going to be a narrow margin. And let's be honest, we don't have the strongest candidate. So if you put a fake Trump in the next election against a strong candidate, and he's not Trump, and we've seen what this can do, this will do for the country. I don't think they stand a chance. So I'm hoping that this is just a period of time that we're living through, and that our kids won't have to deal with it and all this stuff. Because you couldn't write this. This is freaking a book. Like, the dude is running for president, and he's going to be in court tomorrow. Felony court. Like, this is real life. So, I don't know. But
that's all I got. Go ahead, Ferg. It's on you.
Might be simple. I think we kind of asked this question, something similar before. But I don't think I had a really good answer. I'm gonna ask again because I saw something on the Blue Book that made me like, that's interesting. So we talked about what do you call them? Not the theories, the like the flat Earth, all this stuff. That's called conspiracy theories. Conspiracy theories.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So if there was a conspiracy theory that you've heard that made the most sense, or you kind of wanted to be true, what would that be?
A conspiracy theory that we want to be true?
Or that you said, I could really, really see this being true and I really wouldn't be surprised.
Ooh. Well.
Tupac's alive?
Yeah, I'd love for that one to be true, actually. That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Let me think on that one. You got anything, Rosie?
I mean, a couple. I think when you asked this last time, I brought up the ancient alien theory or whatever it is. I definitely could see that happening, right? Where aliens came, and I don't know if they necessarily helped build the pyramids or whatever, but I could see an ancient alien theory happening because I don't believe we're alone in the universe. Now, can people or civilizations traverse the universe or whatever? I don't know. But that's one that's somewhat plausible, right? If you really think about it. The other one is maybe, I hate to say the Illuminati, but like a very high powered group that's semi pulling strings and like, we just talked to Buff. I've been watching Billions, right? And how they talk, you got these groups that you can make a couple calls and the market moves, or you can devalue a currency of a country by just saying, 3 or 4 companies are going to short the currency, yada, yada, yada. Like, I do feel like there probably is this kind of inner working group. I don't know if it's a formal group that's like, we're having an Illuminati meeting. But I do feel like once you get into this circle of these very powerful players, that they can make things happen. I really do feel like, the Republican nominee is selected by, or the potential nominee, right? The most probable person for your political nominees or whatever are probably selected by this cabal of people in the background. It's just like, all right, this is the person we want to put up and we're funding, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, the Skull and Bones Society, like that type of thing. I really feel like that probably happened. So I don't know if it's the Illuminati, but I do feel like there's something behind that where you get into that circle of power that you're able to make things happen.
I don't think it's a conspiracy theory, but people always say that, whenever something happens, they say, that's just a distraction. They're trying to distract you from what's really going on. I do think that happens, but I don't think it's controlled by the government. I just think it's controlled by all of these companies. All of these companies want us distracted and want us focusing on separating us from our wallets and consuming their product. And we've seen
it's called PR, baby.
Yeah, see, it's PR. We've seen it with like how you can just mention something around your phone or around Alexa or something like that. You just mention it, and then all of a sudden, the next time you're on the internet or social media, you get ads for it. There are things that are trying to, no matter how bad things are going on, they want you focusing on consuming their products. And I got a controversial one for you too. I used to outright dismiss that there was a gay agenda. I don't outright dismiss it anymore. Now, you can say that's good or bad. Like, a gay agenda could simply mean making people more accepting and more tolerant of queer people. However you want to spin it, there is an agenda out there, good or bad, that is here And it's something that I definitely dismissed early on.
Yeah, every group should have an agenda, right? We have a black agenda, right? We're like, we want this, we want this, we want this. I think it's out there.
Yeah.
But I think what happens with those conspiracy theorists is they feel like the agenda is to make people gay. And I don't think that's the agenda. I think the agenda, just like you said, is to be seen, to be heard, to be accepted, to be included, right? I think that is their agenda. And to be able to do that, they have to do these things of, you got to show us on TV and this, that, and other. Go ahead, Ferg. I'm sorry.
So it goes back to the original question. I think like the conservative mindset, we were brought up in a certain way of thinking, and anything different from that way of thinking is bad. And the easiest way to control people is fear. So you have to have this nefarious agenda to make it like we're trying to turn everybody, they're trying to turn everybody gay. I mean, when they start incorporating more blacks into politics, into the media and stuff like that, that was a black agenda. And it's like, well, they want your kids dating black people, and, even segregation, you're going to have little black babies and all this stuff, the whole anti-drug, they were talking about how weed was going to have people out here killing people. Like it's all fear. I think there has been a push to do more representation. And I think it's not to turn your kids gay. It is for kids and people to realize that there's more people out there like them than they want to admit. And it helps. I think it is giving those. Now more kids are gay. No, these kids were always gay. It was just they had to hide it until they were 35, right? They had to hide it until they were in college or whatever. Now you got an 8-year-old that's like, I like boys, I like girls. Like, so I think because they normalize it and they're putting it in things that, especially with kids, that kids see. I don't think it's, they make gay looking cool. They don't give them any super gay powers or anything. It's just, they're just saying if we have we create this new cartoon and you have 6 main characters, one of them might be gay because I think there's like I don't even know, probably 1 in 6 people are gay, something like that. So they're saying, hey, there's representation. This person isn't the leader or the coolest. This person isn't the strongest or anything, which they could be. But I'm saying it's not like, hey, if you become gay, you get extra powers. There's extra credit for being gay. So,
well, I think that's a little incorrect from both of you guys. I think black people wanted representation and we wanted to stop being killed. And I think in the beginning, that is what a lot of the gay agenda was. I think sometimes it has gone too far and to where they are promoting and suggesting that like sex changes to like kids and stuff like that. Like that's beyond representation and things like that. So I think it's a little different, but yeah, overall, they do want to be seen. They want people to see them as, not be, I guess, however we were 20 or 30 years ago about them. Just normalize their lifestyle, but sometimes it can trend a little too far.
I
versus the black agenda, we just wanted better. We didn't want white people with black face in films. Yeah,
but you also had your, what is it, the 5%ers and like we had our black agenda had some fringe too. That was just like black people need to take over America, right? Like we had our fringe too. And I think when you talk about
okay, but were they going to elementary schools? Were they going to elementary schools reading books to them? And did they have the power to put them in multiple films and stuff?
What I mean, I'm trying to understand what like you think there's a sex change community going saying, hey, kids, go get sex change? Or is it saying, hey, if you really feel they're addressing something that nobody else probably talks about? So because this is new to us, this is new. So you're our kids sending permission slips home saying, hey, mommy, I want a sex change.
Why would they send a permission slip?
I mean, I'm just trying to say, like, what is the fear? It's, hey,
who said anything about fear?
I'm trying to figure out what if they're coming to schools talking about sex change, and that's a relevant topic for kids. Like, hey, this is so new for us. When do you have that conversation with a kid about a sex change?
Because no one has been able to challenge it without being called a bigot or anti whatever. And so they have based this on, like they're saying this will help kids, prevent them from committing suicide because they're a boy who feel like they're trapped in a girl's body and they need this sex change. And there's no clinical evidence that shows that. They're just basing it off. Like Rozzy, you just mentioned, there are some kids that are 8-year-olds there now that feel like they're gay. Sometimes they just simply feel like they're gay, but now they're literally like given like a script to say certain things so they can get approved for sex change and stuff. That's why I mentioned that Cash report, man. Y'all gotta read that Cash report.
Okay. I mean, I'll look at it. I'll definitely look at it. I think that's a whole other topic we can go into for hours. But mine is not as diabolical as yours. Mine is very simple. So I was watching Facebook and one of those, probably sitting at lunch, trying to zone out one day while at work. And do you remember, probably we were kids, when they were just this real push to get rid of lead paint, like in schools and homes and all this stuff. And why did they say they wanted to get rid of lead paints? What was happening?
Didn't they cause like cancer or something like that?
No, just being exposed to it.
No, it was
brain damage and stuff like that.
Because how were kids getting exposed to it? You go down?
Oh yeah, they were eating it.
Yeah,
eating it.
Yeah,
eating paint chips.
And somebody says like, anytime you want to put fear or make a change, talk about the kids. He's like, how old are you, sir? How many kids have you met in your life? How many kids have you? How many times have you told your kids not to eat paint chips? He said, have you ever met a kid that ate paint chips? Now, kids sniff glue. They ate glue, paste, did the paint. Like there's all these things that we can agree that kids did that are dangerous. But eating paint chips, I don't know anybody that's ever seen a kid eat paint chips. And so they got rid of lead. And what does getting rid of lead in homes do or other places? Because what is lead ultimately?
It was like a fire retarder.
That, and think about Superman. When one of his powers, Rozzy?
X-ray vision.
X-ray vision?
Yeah, but he can't see through lead, right?
Yeah.
What else can't go through lead? Think about all this new technology we have. Wi-Fi, all these other things that they're trying to incorporate. When you're talking about the government can, Big Brother and government can see everything. Not when there's lead in the homes. So it's like the lead was a setup for this modern technology that we have that allows the government free access to everything. When there's lead around, they can't see it. Think about how the internet and all the stuff came about after they got rid of all the lead and all this. Was like, because, hey man, the reason we got lead is because kids were getting cancer eating paint chips. We ain't never seen a kid get paint. I ain't never seen no kid get. You heard about Joey? What happened? Joey ate lead paint. Somebody paint eating Joey? Yeah, paint eating Joey. Yeah, man, he got cancer. Never happened. But
Ferg,
all of a sudden,
you watch this one video, you about to get all the flat earther. You about to go deep down into the rabbit hole just off this one video.
No. I watched it like 3 weeks ago, and I haven't watched anything else home.
The internet just became wireless,
but it's not even just the internet. It's just like being able to, and a lot of stuff that we get as civilians, it's being able to monitor people. It's not just the internet. It's just being able to monitor people, see things. They're saying, they're flying over with drones, being able to look at the heat signatures in houses and all this stuff. So it made you like, if lead was around, that shit would be really possible because, I'm like, I don't hope it's true, but it's like, that does make sense. I ain't never seen nobody. I was a kid for my whole childhood, and I ain't never had a homeboy eat paint. I've had people, like I said, the glue, the eat paste. I've seen people huff stuff. Like I've seen it all. You can't name one kid. Not one exactly. But you know somebody who ate paste. the person that ate crayons. We know all the people, all the stuff that kids really did. They ate dirt. Like, we can say all the stuff that people did. We can all agree we had that one. We knew at least one person did all this stuff, but we can all agree we didn't know one person that ate paint. Bring back lead, baby. I'm just bullshit. That's all I got. I was like, man, that does kind of, got the Wi-Fi and now government surveillance and all this stuff. The big brother, they can see everything. How do they see everything? They can see through your walls.
It's so funny just listening like that, like how people just like take pieces of facts and put them together in some type of way to make a conspiracy theory. Like,
that is way more likely than, like, aliens. Like, you're willing to say aliens built pyramids, but I'm saying, hey, lead paint, niggas want eating the paint, and the government's using that to, and we know government's doing surveillance. We do know government's doing surveillance. We know that, some of the, I'm not saying they're connected, but we know that it would be hard to have Wi-Fi with lead. It'd be hard to be seeing, do government surveillance with lead. But thousands of years ago, some goddamn ETs built a pyramid, and I'm the guy that's going down rabbit holes. Alrighty. With that being said, let's go ahead and close it on out, fellas.
All right, man. The only thing that I have is, we talked a lot about Republicans and how they're coming after everybody. Their new target is everybody that's all the kids that are on college campuses right now, protesting Palestine and Israel, going after Palestine and the Gaza Strip. I do want to say that there are pockets of folks that are taking it way too far, and they are becoming anti-Zionist, and they're like, talking about calling Jewish people, like all Jews should be killed and that type of stuff. The whole go back to Israel thing for Jews that are here in America, that type of stuff, that is happening. But I want to delineate that there from people. Yeah, they were there, and they were talking, and they're latching on to this. Yeah, they're latching on to this protest of what Israel's doing to Palestine. I want to make sure that we're separating those and making sure that you can protest what Israel's doing and not be anti-Jewish. And that's really what I wanted to say. I want to put that out there. Republicans love to talk about how freedom of speech, yada, 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 freedom to assembly. But as soon as somebody assembles on and tries to speak on something they don't like, they're like, oh, you need to lock those folks up. So, you can't have it both ways, Republicans. You need to let these folks go out there. They need to protest as long as it's peaceful, as long as it's that. Well, they're trying, they want to, but we need to let these folks go out there and protest and talk about, shed light to what's happening. When we talk about the war crimes, really is what Israel's doing right now. Because being a military person, the way you win a war matters, right? I am totally in support of them going in and bombing military targets and doing whatever they need to do. They feel they need to do to get Hamas out, because Hamas is a stain to all Muslims across the world. But the way you win a war matters, and Israel, what you're doing isn't the right way. I mean, I'll just call it out. I'll say what it is. And I just wanted to get that off my chest and keep pushing that we need to hold them accountable while we can still support them. A good friend calls you out and says, hey, that's stupid. You shouldn't be doing that. And that's what we need to be doing right now with Israel. That's it, man.
Okay. You mentioned, I think you mentioned the Ukraine war earlier in the show. I just want to tell the listeners, I just want to tell the listeners, because it's an easy selling point for some politicians to say, we need to stop sending money to Ukraine, What about America? 90% of that package that's allocated for Ukraine literally is spent on Americans. I want y'all to hear that again. 90% of that is spent on Americans. They're sent to these different companies in the country to build weapons, and then we send the weapons to Ukraine. So they are paying for jobs in America, paying for wages and different things. In a lot of these states where these politicians have voted against it, it's benefiting their districts and their states. So I know we always hear we're sending money to Ukraine, we're really just sending weapons and equipment to Ukraine that is being built by Americans. We talked about TikTok. It passed the Senate 79-18 last week, and we now they have 9 months to sell. ByteDance has 9 months to sell it, and I think Biden can extend that by
3 months.
By 3 months, by 90 days, if he so chooses.
That's if they're in the process of
if they got some progress going on. But
TikTok is saying hell no, we won't go.
Yeah, it's gonna be in there. I don't care whether it stays or goes, but it's interesting. And we always talk about the age problem that President Biden has, but Justice Sotomayor is facing that as well because of her battle with diabetes. You have a lot of people on the left saying, hey, this would be a good time for you to step down, much like Ruth Bader Ginsburg faced, and she wound up passing away while a Republican was in office. And that was one of the reasons Trump was able to get 3 picks in one term to the Supreme Court. Well, the left is freaking out because they feel like, because of her health, if for some reason Biden loses and 45 gets back in there and if something happens to her, then we're looking at a 7-2 conservative Supreme Court going from 6-3. And some people have called that sexist, but it can't. Like Biden is facing the same thing, so it's ageist. I wouldn't say it's sexist.
I think also you're going to have that pushback because every time that happens, they're like, "Well, the next president should be able to make that choice. We're too close to an election, and so that's a whole nother conversation."
We've heard that argument made, and then we saw the opposite done when they had that advantage.
But they're going to do it again.
Yeah,
it's gonna be just so you know.
And it's important to note that she's not even the oldest on the court. That's Justice Thomas, who's the oldest. I think she's like the third oldest. And last but not least, man, I'm not gonna say I rarely, but I don't often mention her. But my daughter and her art. First, a couple of weeks ago, it made the school art show, and she had 3 works of art that made the school art show. And from there, her art teacher told me each school in our county will get to select a few to make it to the county show. And sure enough, 2 of her works made it to the county show. And she didn't quite understand what a big deal that was at first until we got there. And she saw how, like, wow, there's only really a few from my school, and I'm one of the few.
2 of them.
It's 2 of the few. I'm extremely proud of her. I just still remember the first time. Kids says I can draw. I drew something. And I just remember, when she was in kindergarten, she would draw something. That's cool. And just this one particular day, she was like, I drew something. It's like, all right, let me take a look at it. It's like, you really can draw.
You can draw.
Like, yeah. So it's just been cool to watch her progression ever since, man. So keep up the good work. Jasmine, we going to support you as much as you love it. So we're here for you, and congratulations. I'm super proud of her.
Nice.
Well, that's awesome.
Good job.
So I'm going to hit on something. I'm just going to take a step back. Man, it was a pleasure spending last weekend with you brothers.
Man, it went by too fast.
It definitely went by too fast, but
cool.
I paid for it this week. I was tired, boss. Tired.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Time.
So for all our listeners who, maybe you didn't catch last week's show, but we had a live show because we had the pleasure of spending last weekend together. Risey hosted. Thank you, Risey. We did a fight party. We brunch, breakfast, whatever you want to call it. We went to the Rick Ross concert. I've heard mixed emotions. I had, mixed opinions. I had a blast just being there with you guys.
Yeah.
Dressing up. Yeah. And I think we killed it. I don't know about y'all, but I was feeling myself as usual. And but I think, fellas, we dress up nice. We the way we carried ourselves. Bruce and Alexis, it was a pleasure seeing you guys. It was nice. And so I just recommend people, to any of our male listeners, instead of buying your next pair of J's or Yeezys, go buy you a Tux. Go buy you a Tux. Stop renting them, because they made a joke about that. When the announcer the host was saying something, and she was talking to one of us. It's like, oh, so what time do you have to return your tux? And we're looking at her like, that's cute. Like, these are ours. We own these, so, but it allows you to, find something at least once a year to get dressed up and take that significant other out and do something really nice. I think that is special. If you can do it more, then it's better. Just every once in a while, just step outside. Black people can get dressed up. Black people can rise to the occasion. It's not selling out. Birmingham came out. They look beautiful. I was proud of Alabama.
Birmingham did their thing, man.
Birmingham did their thing.
Yeah.
And so, but then there's a whole other thing. I definitely want to teach y'all how to, keep it classy sometimes, but that's a whole other conversation. But no, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. Had a blast. To Rick Ross. I remember him bringing up Drake. That had me cracking up. He's like, so y'all still rock with Drake? I heard they made up since then, so I think we're good. But it was a great time. Great time with you fellas. So ladies, encourage your guys to go out, have male friends. Fellas, get with your homeboys and do something different. Grow up.
Right.
Grow up, do those big kid things now. So outside of that, been a great week. I want to take a second to say my heart goes out to my family, my cousins, Rashawn, Melvin, and Marquise. They lost their dad this past weekend. We've all lost loved ones. We've there's no easy time to there's no easy time or right time to lose a parent. Right? It's just a part of you that you can't get back. There's no replacing that. So my heart goes out to you guys. I'm here for you. So we're going to close the show with a moment of silence. But I will say this. For any people who have living parents, living loved ones, older ones, whatever, don't hold a grudge. Take the time is valuable. The older we get, and I tell people, the older we get, the older our older ones get. Right? So if you have some stuff you need to talk to your dad about, your mom about, you need to get that off your chest. We're not trying to make your childhood right. We're not trying to say, you have to forgive everything. But if you have that time to develop a relationship and create a relationship moving forward, whatever that's going to be, take advantage of that. Take advantage of sitting down, talking to dad, mom. You're all adults now, and maybe you understand a little better. We've all fallen short, so maybe you understand those shortcomings a little better. Maybe you're more like your parents than you thought you were. So, I just advise I would say if I could have one last conversation with my dad, when he passed away, we're on great terms, but it's just, I didn't know that was the last time I talked to him. I didn't know that was the last time I was going to talk to him. Right. So take advantage of it, because everybody doesn't get that chance to have those last conversations. Because once they're gone, they're gone. And so with that being said, we're going to end the show with a moment of silence for Melvin Johnson Sr., my uncle. All right, Unc, we miss you. We love you. 3 Brothers, No Sense. 6 Rules of Podcast. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. Talk to you next week.